Buenas noches a todos. Lindo domingo. If you're watching us on a Sunday, that's when we record and we go live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Lily Sin Barreras. I have a guest today that I really, really feel in my heart is gonna bring it. And you know, ustedes saben cómo yo soy. El pan pan y el vino vino. Cuando viene a la salud mental, I am a patient. Not only a survivor, but a thriver. And this is an everyday thing, okay? We're in the boxing ring every day. So el que le está diciendo que es maravillas, que está la pastilla divina. Lo siento mucho, porque yo llevo buscando esa pastilla divina por 12 años y no existe, señoras y señores. I do want to thank some people because we bilingual it up here because that's the way we roll. I really want to thank some people. I want to thank my team. This week has been really tough. It's been really hard, but as you know, I love you. I want to thank everybody who came out to the park on Sunday. Gracias, Juanita. Gracias al equipo. Thank you, Jason. We got the family that we needed. We already have the 2 nights for the hotel. We keep working with folks who come to us by the virtue of the higher sky or in my belief, God. So before we go there, I want to let you know that today, just today, and those of us who work in this area or have chosen or have the blessing, tenemos la bendición de trabajar en esta área o nos hemos dedicado a ella por las razones que sean. ¿Ok? Hoy tenemos a alguien que necesita de la buena vibra de ustedes, de las oraciones, whatever you believe. They're in the hospital, they attempted against their life. And they're fighting. They're really fighting really hard. So vamos a enviarle a ella y a su familia buena vibra. Yo he estado en sus zapatos y me fui en una coma. So I've been in her shoes and wanted to terminate my life and put myself in a coma. So I just want you guys to know that when people get to this point, and we'll have someone who is very savvy in this area, when people get to this point, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain. Quiero darle las gracias a Margarita Otero, Rosaura Maluva. Thank you so much, Janice, for getting in contact with us. Thank you for your donation of 13 shirts. I just got an email that says I have 13 shirts with. So, gracias a todos. Pero no quiero perder más nuestro tiempo. Hola, Sheila, ¿cómo estás? Saludos. Sheila es una de las próximas que viene, si todavía me acepta la invitación. Como orgullo puertorriqueño, por ahí está Elsie Esteves, que es mi mamá, y siguen llegando por ahí para todos nosotros. There's nothing like having the biggest fan in the world, right? Your fam. Ysabel Garcia, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Gracias por tenerme aquí. Me encanta la energía, me encanta la energía. Ya de lo primero siento esa energía y creo que vamos a tener una buena conversación hoy.
I love it because Ysabel is not afraid. I've been watching her lives. I've been following her. She's not afraid. You know, not being afraid doesn't mean that you don't walk with fear. I say that to people all the time. You're just punching it out. Just like you're in the, you know, in the boxing ring. You're hoping that the other one doesn't hit you as hard as you're coming. And when they do, you have to be somewhat ready to stand up. And I think Ysabel Garcia got it down pat. So I'm going to invite her later on, she doesn't know it, to speak to us in a gathering. So we will talk later on about hiring you. But I do a no teleconference. I think you're too big. We need to see you. We need to see you. We'll keep it small and tangible and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So, para todos ustedes que hoy en la conversación estén seguros que se van a sentir igualitos que yo me sentí. La mujer habla con claritas. Ok, pero le voy a decir un poquito, ok? Un poquito nada más. Un poquito. Ysabel Garcia es la fundadora de Estoy Aquí. She's the founder of I am here. Estoy aquí. No se traduce, pero se lo voy a traducir because everybody wonders, estoy aquí. What does that mean? I am here. I love this because my motto is, I see you, I hear you. So those are my trainings when I go out and speak to people. And we do it, you know, where we are invited. But I think it's so fascinating that Ysabel se dedica a esto, tiene adiestramiento, so you can hire her to come to your companies. Google. Okay, start bringing our Latina sisters up there, okay? Start bringing the big names. These are the big names, okay? But your objective is so clear, so clear in your bio. So let's start with this. She does not only have a license in psychology, right? But it's children's psychology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about healing the child, the inner child. I'm working on that one. Okay, but she also has a master in public health. So no vengan con la vaina esa de que no se pueden hacer estrategias, que no se pueden incluir cosas, que dónde está el dinero, ni nada de esas cosas. Don't come with that BS. Okay, because we have someone today who has done her homework and who's out there and very loved. I did my research. Lots of people love you. Lots and lots of people. I did my research not because anybody gets to say who's on the show. I did my research because it's always good to know that you are in company of others that love you. And if I have to get in the boxing ring, then I get in the boxing ring for why I bring someone. So Ysabel, thank you. I don't even want to waste time talking about all the marvelous things that you're doing because it would be wasted because we need this conversation with you. Not because it's not valuable, because la mujer es una bestia, como decimos en Puerto Rico. Okay. Es una bestia. Wanda, hola, que estás con nosotros. Próximamente van a ver todos sus comentarios por ahí. Preparen sus preguntas si las tienen para Ysabel. Pero Ysabel, podemos comenzar a hablar un poquito de dónde eres.
Ah, sí. Buena pregunta. Yo soy de la República Dominicana, from the Dominican Republic.
Soy vecina de Puerto Rico.
Sí,
En casa estamos mezclados de Santo Domingo y Puerto Rico.
Ajá. Sí, vengo y tengo aquí en el país, en los Estados Unidos, 14 años, porque yo inmigré a los Estados Unidos cuando tenía 15 años. So I was 15 when I immigrated to the US. All right. So that was 14 years ago. Yeah.
Just 14 years ago.
Yeah, that was 14 years ago. Yeah.
And so for 14 years, in 14 years, you've changed the world?
No. That's I love that you said that. I think it is un proceso como todo. Everything's a process. So when I moved right to the US 14 years ago, 2 weeks after moving, yo me escapé a un hospital, ¿ok? Me escapé a un hospital y entré a la emergencia, al departamento de emergencia. Le dije a la primera enfermera que vi, le dije, si no me ayuda, me voy a matar. Se lo dije así en su cara. Entonces, ahí empezaron, oh my God, okay, y me hospitalizaron. So I was hospitalized. Then my parents, my family were running around the neighborhood looking for me. They didn't know where I was. And then somebody from the hospital called them saying, we have your daughter here. She said that she's gonna kill herself. Pero lo que yo no sabía en ese tiempo era que esa decisión me iba a brindar no necesariamente ayuda, me iba a brindar más trauma. Yo no recibí la ayuda que yo necesitaba, lamentablemente. I reach out to the system porque dicen, reach out, you're gonna get help. Entonces, pues yo me mandé al hospital. Yo hice lo que los profesionales dicen, reach out, ask for help, cuando tú te sientes de esa manera. Pero cuando me hospitalizaron, luego de eso,
Ysabel, te puedo interrumpir un momentito. I just want you guys all to know that Ysabel migrates here from Santo Domingo, which is our neighbor of us in Puerto Rico. We live in each other's countries pretty much. If you look at our countries, we cross all the time. She's 14 years old when she gets here, and she escape basically from her family, if you will, to a hospital and says, if you don't help me, I'm going to terminate my life. And she's thinking she's going to get help.
Right.
A 14-year-old just lands and says, I'm going to run and get help.
Right.
Well, ¿qué pasó, Ysabel? ¿Por qué venías con el deseo, con el hambre de buscar ayuda?
Lo que pasa es, muy buena pregunta, lo que pasa es que ya yo estaba en la República Dominicana, ya yo tenía pensamientos de muerte y me habían diagnosticado con depresión y ansiedad. Ahora, yo he tenido pensamientos de muerte desde que tenía 8 años, o sea, una niña. Mis padres no sabían eso era un secreto.
Of course.
Eso era un secreto hasta que a los 13 años yo exploté, o sea, yo era la niña perfecta que tenía A en todo y yo a los 13 años exploté. Yo me convertí en otra niña. Yo no era ya Ysabel. Y le dije a mi mamá, mami, yo tengo pensamientos de muerte. Y me acuerdo de ese día, porque fue la primera vez en mi vida que yo dije eso verbalmente. Entonces, eso fue a los 13 años, ¿verdad? ¿Qué pasa? Que luego, a los 14, decidí, no voy a ir a la escuela. Ya eso es todo en todavía estamos en la República Dominicana cuando eso. Yo le dije, yo no voy a ir a la escuela porque lo voy a hacer, o sea, I'm going to try it, lo voy a tratar. Y pues me salí de la escuela. Luego llegó el notice from el consulado saying, oh, you have the appointment for your green card. Tienes te llegó la cita para la residencia. And so we thought, mi familia, nosotros creímos, oh my God, esta es la oportunidad. Porque ese país es bueno, ellos tienen toda la tecnología, tienen los mejores psicólogos, psiquiatras. And it was like, yes, this is our chance. You're going to get better there. You're going to go back to the shawl you wear y todo eso. Pero lo que pasó, ¿verdad? Vinimos para acá 2 semanas, como 2-3 semanas. Después de mudarme, boom. There was a cultural shock. So not only I brought my suicidal thoughts, anxiety, depression to the country, pero cuando llegué, eso fue un boom, como una crisis existencial. Mi cuerpo, mi alma, mi espíritu no entendía como que era otro mundo. Esto es otro mundo en comparación con mi país. Y mi cerebro, mi yo como persona no lo pudo like comprehend. Y eso se le llama cultural shock, choque cultural. En ese tiempo yo no sabía qué era eso, pero luego aprendí que eso fue lo que me pasó. Y por eso fue que fui al hospital y busqué ayuda porque estaba muy cerca de intentarlo. Lamentablemente, sí me hospitalizaron y todo eso. Lamentablemente, luego de ahí, lo que pasó fue que nos asignaron social workers, trabajadores sociales, que se suponen que tenían que ayudarnos. Lamentablemente, cada vez que yo decía que quería morir, ellos lo que hacían era que llamaban al 911 immediately. Ellos ni siquiera decían, oh no, o sea, wow, gracias por decirme la verdad. Y vamos a hablar sobre eso. ¿Qué te está? Nope. Eso fue, oh, you're suicidal. Hello, we have someone who is suicidal who wants to die. ¿Y qué pasa? Los policías venían a la casa, vehículos de emergencia venían a la casa y me ponían en hospitales psiquiátricos sin mi consentimiento, without my consent. And then residential programs as well, without my consent. So they will separate me from my family for months and months and months and put me in these treatment centers that are jail-like. Es como, para mí fue como una cárcel. No había,
I've been there 7 times. I totally agree.
So I have been in those places like 5 times throughout like 2 years. It was like my first 2 years in this country. Mi primero 2 años en este país fue un back and forth. Yo salía del hospital y volvía, porque yo no podía decir la verdad. Mi verdad era que yo estaba suicida, pero no podía decirlo porque las trabajadoras sociales que fueron asignadas no sabían cómo tener una conversación sobre el suicidio. Y luego comprendí también que hay ciertas leyes and policies that make them a mandated reporter, and they have certain liability issues. Como que si no reporta esto te va a pasar. Pero lo que pasa con eso es que, regardless of that, porque yo encuentro que muchos de los providers, social workers, therapists, doctors, whatever, todos los que trabajan en la salud, en la salud, Health and Human Services, lo han entrenado para tenerle miedo al tema del suicidio, al punto de que no se atreven ni siquiera a hablar sobre ello con los pacientes.
Ysabel, podemos hacer una pausa, because
claro.
this is like a jewel. This is para todos nosotros que hemos estado con esta hambre, que hemos vivido este tipo de cosas. Estamos escuchando ahora una mujer que está súper preparada, que se ha dedicado. Todo tópico que ella está tocando en estos momentos en su página de web, usted la puede contratar a ella para que usted entienda el peligro, la injusticia y a la vez potencial que tenemos todos nosotros como comunidad. Identifique comunidad como todos aquellos que participamos en una. ¿Verdad? So community doesn't only mean Latinos. This is, for me, has been a fight forever. It's like, oh, you're only with the Latinos. No, mijo, no. You got this all wrong. I live in a large community. So you're watching a 14-year-old coming from Santo Domingo, getting culturally shocked. She also trains on that. So everything she is telling you, there is a training on her website. I just want to be clear about this, that this is not just someone who is saying, okay, this happened to me. This is someone who said, this happened to me and I want to do something about it, which is the reason I am here. I don't do it at the scale that she does it. I didn't go to get a degree or anything like that. Mine blew up when I was 42. But a child not being able to say, because of fear, because we don't understand. We're 8 years old. Think about your child being 8 years old, right? You're 8 years old, and you're going to say, I have thoughts of dying. Nobody thinks of a child, right? We do because we are in the field, but nobody thinks of your little person thinking of that. You're 8. You're supposed to like be arguing with me about, like going outside or having the coolest pencil, or right now it's about tablets or whatever it means. And so you get the opportunity to come to the United States. And your parents and loved ones, including you, get excited about this is America. This is a whole different country. These folks over there have, don't get me wrong, I love America. I've had great opportunities here. No me malinterpreten. Okay? Yo amo mi Puerto Rico y voy a morir boricua. But this is the understanding of this family. Ellos vinieron con ese entendimiento, con esa corazonada, con ese espíritu que decía, I'm going to be able to get help for my child. And maybe we will get our little Ysabel back.
Mm-hmm.
And here are the things that you're hearing from Ysabel. And I just want to highlight all of these. I hope you're not upset by this, Ysabel, because what you're dropping is jewels and nuggets. And if you're a trainer, if you're somebody out there with your little person, and if you see your little person is changing or they're in their cocoon, or they're telling you this, we sometimes disregard when these young minds are actually expressing such big thoughts. And so we disregard them at times. So Ysabel goes into hospitals and there's no consent. So at one point, you're a teenager now.
Yeah.
You're culturally shocked. You're in a country you've never been into. You thought there was going to be all of these options. You go into what I call the mini prison, which is what I call psych units here. Take off your shoes, do this, do that, do that, do that. They pat me up and down and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, and we all have stereotypes about what a good doctor looks like and what a good doctor doesn't look like. And then they bring students into your room. All these white coats. First of all, why do they wear white coats? I want to know that. And somebody's going to have to explain that one to me one day. Because, so they bring students and they get angry at you when you say, no, I don't barely know you, Ysabel. Why are all these other people in my room? And they say, well, how are they going to learn? That's your problem, not my problem. So you got a 14-year-old doing that. I was 42 and already an advocate, and I was completely lost. I can't imagine being 14. People, when this happens, the police gets called to your house, the ambulance is called. It's a big to-do. So if you decide to say, I'm in crisis, and you say, I think I don't want to live anymore, or I don't want to live anymore, or this is the end for me, your entire neighborhood found out that you're in crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Your entire neighborhood finds out you're in crisis. And then before we move on, Ysabel, I want to talk about how many providers have been terrified and almost put in this little spot where they can't even speak suicide.
No.
It's like the evil word.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you say? Sugar? Sugar? Did you say sugar? Because that one I can go get you some sugar. No, I'm suicidal. If you have those words, you may not have those words.
Right.
To say I'm suicidal. And then my favorite one is, do you have a plan?
No, I can stand.
Just told you what my plan is. I don't want to live. Okay, I just wanted everybody to hear that you're going to, here you have a 14-year-old bombarded by your new system. So Ysabel, what do you do? Because you're like me, you're going back and back, but I'm an old woman. You're going back and back and back. What are you learning through all of this?
That's a beautiful question. Why are you learning throughout all of this? Because what I learned is what I'm using for my services, for my trainings. It's basically based on what I learned from all those back and forth in the hospitals and everything. So what did I learn? Lo primero, ustedes saben por qué fue que paré de ir a todos los hospitales back and forth. ¿Ustedes saben por qué? Porque aprendí a mentir. Porque no crean que fue que yo recibí la ayuda que yo creía y que por eso es que I went to college, todo eso, he realizado muchas de mis metas. No fue por no fue because I got better because they helped me. Es porque yo dije, oh, ok, so si yo digo que sí, la verdad, cuando me dicen, are you suicidal? Porque eso es la pregunta, are you suicidal? Yes or no. Do you have a plan? Yes or no. Eso es ya, es un yes or no. Yo aprendí, si digo que no, aunque sí estoy, no me van a meter a un hospital against my will, o sea, sin mi consentimiento. Pues aprendí a mentir y por eso paró todas las hospitalizaciones. So eso es lo primero que aprendí. Ok, miente. No puedes, you cannot trust anybody apparently. No puedes confiar en los providers entonces, en la gente que se supone que te tiene que ayudar, que están supuestamente educados para ayudar. Lo segundo que aprendí es que muchos de los que me trataron de ayudar con su consejería, terapia, medicamentos, psiquiatría, no tenían como, no estaban como informados de la cultura, como que ellos no, it wasn't culturally relevant, como que lo que yo no puedo, por ejemplo, responder a una modalidad que solamente funciona con gente blanca, americana, europea, porque yo no soy blanca. Yo soy latina, soy dominicana, tengo ciertas específicas factores socioculturales, que yo le llamo factores socioculturales. Entonces me di cuenta que esa información no es algo que necesariamente los doctores, consejeros, trabajadores sociales toman en la universidad. O sea, no es algo como normal for them to take a class on, let's say, Latinx mental health, for example. No, eso no. Entonces, por eso me di cuenta que muchos de los approaches o tratamientos no iban conmigo, o sea, no iban con mi familia y didn't match my values. O sea, me di cuenta, esto ni siquiera está diseñado para mí como humana, para yo sobrevivir. O sea, me di cuenta.
Ysabel, hagamos hincapié en eso. Let's go deeper. Just because you're like, I mean, like, it's not a one show. I mean, most people that I bring here is not a one show. They always come back because that's the reason you're here. Let's go deeper. When you say culturally appropriate, one of the things that I say to people all the time is just because Ysabel y yo hablamos el mismo lenguaje, no quiere decir que somos iguales y que la casa de ella es igual a la mía.
No.
No, porque son latinas las dos y hablan español y No, señor. No, señor. It's not the same thing. We're not brought up in the same household. We don't treat each other the same. We could be sisters biologically, sisters in our experience with our families completely different. Okay. Calladito te ve más bonito, lo más lindo que uno usa. Okay. Boca cerrada, no entra mosca. Los trapos de la casa se lavan en la casa. So there's so many things. So one of my, and I do this in trainings, Ysabel, I blindfold people and I say, all you can hear is people's voice. Somebody's going to tell you their story. All you can hear is their voice. You can't look at them. You can't do anything else but hear their voice. When people would hear me, they would say things like, you sound so educated. And if I had the energy, because I was so depressed and tired and Band-Aid, all over the place, I would have smacked them. That was an insult. We saw your resume. That was an insult. You have a family that loves you. All of these things. And then my favorite one, I don't know if this one was yours, Ysabel, was because we were at different ages, was what happened to you in your childhood.
Yeah.
I don't know you. I don't know you.
Exacto.
What happened to you, my childhood? I'm about to smack your childhood out of your face. That's what I'm about to do. So I think it's so important when you talk about the cultural component that we are still struggling My brothers and sisters, when they talk to me out in the street or when they call me, first thing they say to me is, are you going to call the cops? If they don't know me. And then I have to have someone else vouch for me and someone else vouch for me. And so on and so forth. So I love that you are talking about this. So what do you do? Because you've helped people develop programs and curriculums that actually are able to reflect, que pueden reflejar. Tú has ayudado con currículo, con desarrollo, con conversaciones, con litigar, estás pendiente a las leyes. Tienes el plato lleno. Bueno, ya tú tienes un banquete, olvídate del plato, ya pasaste el plato, ya no tienes plato, ya tienes banquete. Estás pendiente a todas estas cosas. ¿Qué hacen las personas cuando están en tu adiestramiento? Los ojos se le van a detrás de la cabeza, se asustan, lloran, se sienten liberados, porque hay gente que en mis adiestramientos se sienten liberados y después me lo dicen calladito.
Sí, en mis entrenamientos ha pasado de todo. Ha pasado de todo. Yo he hecho entrenamientos principalmente para los terapeutas, trabajadores sociales, los médicos, pero también he hecho entrenamiento para jóvenes, de adolescentes, hasta de 13 años, high school, en que están en la high school también, estudiantes de universidad también he hecho entrenamientos y he visto de todo. He visto llorar, sí, mucha gente llora porque dicen, wow, that is me, pero que nunca se habían visto como reflejados en un entrenamiento o contenido o nada, porque no hay mucha representación sobre lo que estamos hablando ahora. No todo el mundo habla de lo que estamos hablando ahora como lo estamos hablando. Entonces muchas personas dicen, oh my God, yeah, that's me too, o es similar a mí, o mi familiar pasó por algo similar, o se ven reflejados, y eso le da como que le toca el corazón, y muchas personas sí lloran. Muchas personas al final del entrenamiento me dicen, hey, I related, yo pasé por algo, por esto, pero no lo dicen en público, pero me buscan después y me lo dicen que they're thankful por lo que, agradecido por lo que hago, pero nunca se me va a olvidar una persona que trabaja con jóvenes me dijo que el mejor entrenamiento de prevención del suicidio que ha tomado en su vida es el mío, pero también me dijo que él se sintió menos suicida por mi entrenamiento, que mi entrenamiento lo hizo sentirse menos suicida. O sea que entrenamientos que suena como muy, hay un entrenamiento, 3, 4 horas, se puede cambiar vidas con entrenamiento. Y no solo eso, sino que influir la capacitación de los mismos providers, los mismos terapeutas, trabajadores sociales y todo eso, ellos pueden, ya con ese contenido que yo les proveo, pueden entonces ayudar a otras personas. Es decir, que esa trabajadora social que vamos a suponer, otra Ysabel, puede que conozca otra Ysabel, la Ysabel a los 14, 15 años, y diga, espérate, cogí ese entrenamiento y me acuerdo, compasión, adelante, empatía, adelante. For all I know, I have helped professionals avoid calling the police, incarceration, quién sabe. Espero, esa siempre ha sido mi esperanza.
Ysabel, una de los Instagram que hiciste, que por favor no los pare, continúa. I have put her information there. Please go on to her website, go on to all her social media. Este es un tópico que no lo hablamos y yo a cada rato tengo que explicarle a ustedes que hemos atrasado el programa, de que tenemos que anunciar la partida muy temprana de un hermano de nosotros. Yo no lo uso en términos religiosos, lo uso en compartiendo espacio. Son mis hermanos y hermanas porque compartimos espacio en el mundo. Pero muchas veces la palabra suicidio es algo que le tememos tanto. Ay, no, yo no estoy tan mal como aquel. I know, I'm not that bad. I'm not as bad as, Ysabel. I'm not there yet. I haven't forgotten how to get home. I did. There was one time. And then they figured out I had a brain injury, but that's not the point. The point is, where do you get that? So there I was on an Instagram, and I have to tell you, you made me cry.
Oh.
You made me cry because you were talking, because everybody's like, let's talk mental health. That one is the easy one, right? Everybody has it. Everybody's, and I'm a namaste girl, but you know what I mean? Like, go to the gym, breathe.
Yeah.
If I could stop my anxiety, don't you think I would? Don't tell me to breathe. Okay? Don't tell me to breathe. Cut it out. So I use a lot of humor, and that gets me through a different population, it's like, do you really think if I could stop this anxiety attack right now, I wouldn't? Like, if I could go into the fridge and put my head in there, I wouldn't, but there was something you said that I thought it was so impactful. You have a list of entities and agencies, and you wanted people to know before they pick up the phone and they choose what entity and agency they are calling. Esto es bien importante. If you are a therapist, a mom, a dad, a cousin, alguien que ha visto algo, yo sé que a veces nosotros llamamos a las autoridades en el mismo miedo de nosotros de que le va a pasar algo, y hay espacios en que sí lo amerita, pero debemos nosotros como comunidad, a nivel político, a nivel internacional, a nivel local, pedir que todos los programas sean claros con los ingredientes que tienen en sus programas. Al igualito que la FDA le pide a todo el mundo que ponga ahí las calorías, los carbohidratos y toda esa vaina que uno no quiere, que es muy mala para uno, pero uno se la quiere comer como quiera. Ok, igualito. Dinos por qué, Ysabel, porque hay consecuencias en cada llamada, y esas llamadas y esas consecuencias can bring our folks not to pick up the phone.
Exactly. Yo le llamo informed consent, lo que estaba diciendo, informed consent. Porque yo no le digo a la gente, no llame a este teléfono, no vaya a tal sitio. Yo no digo eso. Porque yo entiendo que people have their choices. They should be empowered to make choices. O sea, darle poder a la gente de hacer decisiones. Entonces yo no le digo a nadie, no llame o no vaya a este sitio. Lo que yo le digo es, ok, esto es lo que está disponible y tú tienes que saber los advantages and disadvantages, o sea, los beneficios y las consecuencias buenas y malas. Puede que sea que si tú llamas por ejemplo a un hotline y tú dices y te preguntan, ¿está suicidio? Y dices que sí, pues tienes que entender que ellos tienen un proceso. Te van a seguir haciendo más preguntas, como tienes un plan, nuestra pregunta favorita, ¿tienes un plan? ¿Sí o no? Si dices que sí, pues entonces van a seguir. ¿En qué estás pensando? ¿Cuántos días? ¿Estás pensando en un día preciso o en una hora precisa? Ya ellos están maquinando, ellos están calculando tu nivel de riesgo. Porque el sistema de salud mental y psiquiátrico es todo sobre qué nivel de riesgo. Ellos, la compasión, ellos no están ahí, ellos están ahí para saber cuál es tu nivel de riesgo y ya. porque es sobre urgencia y sobre acción. They're very action based and it's very based on urgency. Entonces, dependiendo de lo que ellos escuchen, si tienes un plan, que no sé cuánto de tiempo, etcétera, del also como el intent. Ellos quieren calcular, es casi como querer leer el futuro, casi. Ellos quieren como leer el futuro, si lo va a hacer o no, y ya. Y si ellos determinan que sí, ellos pueden decir, bueno, pues tenemos que llamar a las emergencias porque tenemos que interrumpir el acto. Pero el problema que yo tengo con eso es, primeramente, estamos hablando de personas que no están ni siquiera en el acto todavía, o sea, están pidiendo ayuda para no llegar al acto. Pero aún así hay un entitlement, hay como este sentimiento de que, bueno, no estás tal vez intentándolo ahora, pero lo vas a hacer porque nosotros te pusimos en esta categoría de riesgo. Y eso es lo que a mí no me gusta. Y la gente tiene que saber eso. Tienen que saber que hay consecuencias de cuando se llama a ciertos números de teléfonos, cuando también, when you reach out to, de terapia y psiquiatría, esas son cosas que pueden pasar porque ellos tienen un entrenamiento específico donde ellos accesan y evalúan riesgo. Entonces, mi approach, mi modelo es the opposite a risk assessment. Es lo contrario a buscar que si hay riesgo o no sé qué. Lo mío, yo lo que enseño a la gente es cómo hablar sobre esto de una manera compasiva, o sea, que tenga empatía, en el cual uno actualmente escuche lo que la gente está diciendo, que no es solo ok, pero te vas a matar, sí o no. O sea, que no es just about that, porque tú dijiste algo bien key al principio. Hay mucho dolor cuando esto pasa. Esto no pasa porque un día me sentí mal, I wanna die, porque, no sé, me pasó, no sé, tuve un mal día. Esto es de una acumulación y combinación de cosas y pasa a través del tiempo. No es algo que viene de la nada. Entonces, muchas de las personas que piensan en la muerte, que lo dicen, lo que quieren es ser escuchados. Lo que quieren es ser escuchados y comprendidos. Entonces, el sistema de la salud mental, lamentablemente, yo no encontré esa compasión, esa empatía, ese entendimiento. Yo no lo encontré. Yo sé que hay muchas personas que tienen su terapista, su psiquiatría, les va muy bien, genial. Pero lo que pasa es que esa no es la realidad para muchas personas. Y yo encuentro que eso no es justo. Que si un sistema va a trabajar bien, tiene que trabajar bien para todo el mundo, no solamente para 2 o 3 personas.
I want to share with all of you that we're speaking with the founder of Estoy aquí. I am here. She is all in social media. You can hire her. I keep saying this is so important. Bring her into your groups, into your communities, the community of faith. I have pastors asking me sometimes, can you come to talk about your mission in a little bit about suicide, and just a little bit, not too much. But I'll take whatever I can sometimes, because those crumbs will lead, believe it or not, to other places that people are like, oh, Let me talk to you about my son or my daughter or me. I was in the bathroom. I'll never forget this woman said, how dare you say you were in psych unit 7 times? Capistrano in Puerto Rico, here in Yukon. You know, I've never found a hospital. Okay. And I will tell you this, we still systematically, all we have is the assessment of symptoms expressed at the moment by the person in front of us. Okay. It's not like they take your blood. Okay. And there's scientific data. Okay. That comes in your blood and your CBCs and says, woo, Lily, your cholesterol. Oh, this is dangerous. This is dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. As my granddaughter, the younger one, says, danger, danger. This is not the way it works. We still have a sheet of papers that we go through. Okay. You can fire your therapist, your neurologist, any doctor you have. Here's the misunderstanding, Ysabel. I say this to people all the time. This is a service. I hire you to provide a service. There is no you and me here. There's no such thing. But culturally, lots of us have been trained to do that. I have family members who will say, pero el doctor me dijo. El doctor me dijo. They go, but have you looked at other options? Otro doctor. Yes. You have the right to go to a second. The same way you have a right to go to a second and a third and a fourth and, you know, whatever it is that you want to go to. So todavía no tenemos un mecanismo, Ysabel, ¿cierto o no es cierto? Que nosotros podemos decir que científicamente uno puede identificar a esa persona. Un psiquiatra me dijo a mí, tú no te vas a quitar la vida, ¿sabes por qué? Porque tú te peinas y te maquillas todos los días.
No. What?
Yo no vivo sin aretes. Mis aretes se quitan cuando yo me voy a acostar, mamita. Yo sin aretes no vivo. ¿Ok? A mí me encanta el bondo, me encanta maquillarme, me encanta todo eso. So that was the train of thought that I wouldn't do it because of that. And so there's so much need for you, Ysabel. There's so much need for what you're offering. There's so much need. You do so much. You don't believe there's a one size fits all. I love that about you.
Exacto.
Tell us about that, because you don't believe there's a one size fits all.
No. Es que, and I always say this in every training, everything, that mental health is very complex. Suicide is very complex. It's complicated. So no es de que black and white. Eso no es algo que se entiende así directo. No es, hay demasiadas cosas de que se puedan hablar, muchísimas. Por lo tanto, entonces, lo que pueda trabajar para una persona puede que no trabaje para otra. Y por eso es que es tan importante hablar de las opciones y no tener, yo le llamo a esto hierarchy of care. Aquí en este país hay un hierarchy of care, especialmente con el mental health, que los psiquiatras son número uno, they're number one, psychiatry number one, psychologists, therapists, pero that doesn't work for everybody, and also there are too many barriers to get those services for many people, like Latino, Latinx, Black, Indigenous, Asian. Like there's a bunch of barriers to even get there.
Women over 50, like myself.
Diferente, exacto, diferente.
Una etapa diferente.
O sea, es por eso cuando veo las campañas que dicen reach out, get a therapist, pero hay un waitlist de como 4, 5, 6 meses, un waitlist. O sea, lo que quiero decir es que este sistema no está hecho para ciertas personas. Y usualmente las personas son black and brown, no son blancos, o sea, literal no son blancos. Y ya, o sea, es un sistema racista, es un sistema homofóbico, etcétera. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? No, las personas que tienen ciertas identidades sociales, que el sistema no it doesn't fit our needs, hay otras opciones y ya la usamos. Por eso es que yo tengo un programa que se llama La Cultura Sana, The Culture Cures, where I talk to hairstylists, barbers, herbalists, librarians. I talk to a bunch of different people in the community that are already doing social emotional counseling work. It's just
I saw the barber shop and I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
It's just that they don't have like let's say a social work degree or qué sé yo, un PhD o no sé qué, pero culturalmente hablando, ellos sí tienen una posición, pero muy poderosa cuando tiene que ver con la salud mental de la comunidad. O sea, podemos hablar de hairstylist y el barber el día entero, que uno se sienta en esa silla y le cuenta la vida entera y ellos tienen su propio skill, su propio conocimiento de cómo lidiar con ciertas cosas. Entonces yo he hecho entrenamientos para diferentes personas que trabajan en esas carreras y he aprendido muchísimo de ellos, pero como les dije hace 2 o 3 minutos, como ellos no tienen un certificado o que un diploma, no los reconocen como literal mental health stakeholders, porque ellos hacen trabajo de salud mental. Entonces, esas son las opciones que yo promuevo mucho. Las opciones culturales, que está bien conectarse con la curandera. Está bien, si eso es lo que funciona para ti y tú te sientes bien, está bien, porque esas son tus opciones y esa es la que elegiste. Like,
I'd love that you say that, Ysabel, because your frame of mind, no peer pressure here, but that's also a lie. So there goes a lie in public. Hopefully you end up in some political position, because I think, I'm being serious. And people that know me will tell you, no estás jugando, ya te está echando el agua. And I think there is so much power in having someone who can not only speak to legislators, which you already do, and all of that kind of stuff, but to have a voice that says we need to stop just saying mental health. And let's talk about what does that mean? Because there's not one person out there who is not struggling with their mental health. Okay, that's why we get the finger in the middle of the highway. That's why we get the lady who wants to run us over with the car at the shopping center. I mean, something's happening. People are angry, people are lonely, people are tired, our kids are mad, something's happening. Our teachers are tired. I mean, I've had lawyers call me and say, can you deal with this? Because this is way, like knuckles crazy. I don't even know if the story's real. I'm like, and why don't you think it's real? It's just complicated. And I do appreciate the phone call, because then I can be part, because advocacy is part of what we do. But it is so overwhelming for certain people. So I really, really hope that you are looking at working more with our decision makers. But I love the grassroots perspective, because the Warren Hardys, I know you're in Springfield, but I'm sure we will all get together hopefully soon. The Warren Hardys, the Bounces, the Jacksons, the me who are out there serving food. We're not serving food. We're being fed. People have it it's completely misrepresented. We are being fed to what our community is in need of. Is in need of. And maybe we're not the right person, but maybe I can call Ysabel and say, you know what, Ysabel? Any chance? What do you got? If we paid you for XYZ, this is what we got. What can we get for that? Because we're like lost here. This is the other thing we don't do well. We don't reach out to one another. Nos jalamos los pelos, señores. Hablemos la verdad. No hay espacio para Ysabel y no hay espacio para mí, no hay espacio para Simon, no hay espacio para Thomas, espacio para Wanda, hay espacio para todo el mundo. Okay? hay espacio para todo el mundo, asegurándonos que nosotros mismos sabemos qué es la dura de nosotros y cuál no es la dura de nosotros. Y aprendiendo todo el tiempo. You're a student and a teacher all the time. I'm blown away with the stuff that we can do. Don't worry, they're already texting me. Are you going to do the contest? Yes. ¿Qué Ysabel ha dicho hasta el momento? People are always like, what has Ysabel said up to now? She's not going anywhere. Up to now that you go, dang, that girl got it going on. Yes, I want to get on her social media. Yes, I liked what she said. I have a question. And those $50 are yours. I want to be very clear that not everybody prefers to speak in Spanish when they're Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
I have had this conversation. It was the funniest conversation with one of the local one of our pharmacies, a big chain. And I would get all my stuff in Spanish. So then I got curious one day. Spanish is my first tongue. So I got curious one day. And I said to the girl, why do I get all my stuff in Spanish? My husband is Honduras. He gets all of his in English.
Ah.
Right? So she says, well, I don't know. There's this thing in the yo le, Mommy, no, I know it's not you. I just want to know why mine comes. You don't want that preference. He's like, I'll take it out. I'm like, no, I want to know how the system works. Exactly. And although she worked there, she couldn't tell me how the system worked. So somewhere, somehow, and it's not her fault, of course, somewhere, somehow, there is a little button that says Vélez Herrera, and she pronounced Lidia Vélez Herrera. When people ask me what my name is, I say Lidia Vélez Herrera. And you call me Litia, and some people call me Olivia, and some people call me Lily is my nickname. But I wanted to find out what in their system made them determine, because I was never asked what language I prefer to receive my information in. But here I'm sitting in my car and I'm going, wow, mine is in Spanish. And I wonder why. So son los detallitos, mi gente, que uno tiene que estar pendiente a ellos todo el tiempo y decir, ¿por qué me están identificando así? He estado en un hospital, yo voy a hacer la abogacía y la persona me dice, ¿necesitas un traductor? And I'm thinking, maybe the person I'm going to go see needs a translator. Why they call me? So I give it a chance, an opportunity. And then I realize that they think I don't speak English. So noto, por ejemplo, aquí hay una joven que da la casualidad que tengo la belleza, la hermosura y la gracia, que es mi nieta, que va a cumplir 16 años. Y ella y yo hablamos mucho de esto. Ella se identifica como lesbiana. Nosotros la queremos muchísimo. Aquí está la bandera. Pero vive en uno de los estados más homofóbicos en este momento, que es la Florida.
Sí.
So, al pan en pan y el vino, ¿verdad? So, ella y yo hablamos mucho de lo que quiere decir la salud mental, de qué quiere decir esto para ellos. Hay un grupo de personas que se sienten tan y tan aislados todos los días. Y son aquellos hermanos que han decidido ser valientes y decir, esta es mi orientación sexual. Tú no entras a un sitio, a mí nunca me preguntan, ¿tú eres heterosexual o gay?
No, a mí no.
Sí me han preguntado que si quiero salir una noche. Eso sí, un halago, ¿verdad? Pero, ¿verdad? Con caché categoría, obviamente. Pero nunca tú no empiezas, yo soy Lily y yo soy heterosexual. Y para muchas personas, cuando van a terapia o van a buscar ayuda, se sienten que eso es lo primordial, lo que más tienen que decir al frente, por si acaso se encuentran con alguien que es homofóbico y puede ser muy dañino. Puede ser muy dañino en la terapia. Yo voy a decir lo que trabaja para mí. Ysabel, tú nos ayudas y nos dices qué trabaja para ti, hablando de paciente a paciente, ¿sí? No sé si tú te identificas como paciente, pero yo sí me identifico como paciente. Puede que no. Pero para mí, cuando descubrieron que tenía un problema neurológico, todo eso fue causado dado a una violencia cuando ella era más pequeñita, ¿verdad? Esos casos no se atienden. Yo iba a la psiquiatra escondidita, yo recibía mis medicamentos escondidita, calladita, me veía muy bonita, ya en mis 30. Ya soy madre, ya soy abuela, ya todo eso, calladita, ¿verdad? Lo que aprendí a través de los años, ya yo hacía abogacía para otras personas, pero nunca pensé que yo llegaría a ser el paciente. Y boom, ahí llegó. Pero cuando uno está tan enfermo que el cuerpo te duele, que la depresión no te deja moverte, señoras y señores, cuando las personas le dicen que el cuerpo le duele de la depresión, es cierto. Te duele como si hubieses ido al gym por 30 horas por primera vez. Los dolores de cabeza, los desmayos, las ganas de devolver, todo ese tipo de cosas, todo, la ansiedad que sientes que te vas a desmayar. Hay personas que se desmayan, corazón que se te quiere salir, que se puede confundir con un ataque al corazón o viceversa. Hay personas que han tenido un ataque al corazón y porque tienen un historial de ansiedad han muerto. So, para mí ha funcionado definitivamente la yoga, pero ya estoy mucho más saludable. Para mí tuve que restablecer mi vida completa, irme a limpiar casas, lo pasé bien chévere, muy lindo. Me fui a estudiar a hacer una CNA después de haber tenido unas carreras que las personas pues piensan que son carreras respetables, pero para regresar a la vida. Le doy gracias a Dios que no soy la misma persona que era antes. Si le digo que le doy gracias a Dios que me puso por el infierno, les miento. Because that's not how I feel. I could have lived without this one. But for 4 years, I was not independent. For 4 years, and I was already an adult. So things that work for me is traditional medicine, not the 30 ones that they wanted me to have, but one. Okay. So I have a neurologist, I have a psychiatrist, and I have an amazing therapist who's a holistic therapist. Okay. And then I have a group of friends who are crazier than me. So that always works. What works for you?
Yeah. What works for me is community.
Me too.
Yeah. Connection. I was able to build a strong community of people that give me the compassion and the empathy that I didn't get while I was looking for help from the system. Pero I was very intentional about it. I had to literally look for, I remember I signed up for a support group for women of color. So that was my first attempt. I saw they were promoting. I was like, oh, should I do this? I signed up. And that's when it started. I started, oh, okay. There are people that have similar experiences to mine. I didn't know. Porque muchas veces we think we're the only ones, and we're not.
It's very lonely.
So, and that's when I started to learn how to build community, like to connect with people. And having that someone that, you know, you can be like, hey, can we get a coffee when you can, if you have time? I'm not feeling well, and I just need someone to listen. So being very clear about I'm always like, I don't need someone to tell me what to do. They can drink water. Okay. Like, I know that drinking water is good for you. You don't have to tell me that.
I love it when they tell me I need to lose 15 pounds. I'm like, ¿tú crees que yo no tenga peso en mi casa, mamita?
Exacto. Cosas que son quick fixes. Porque, y yo entiendo, porque hay mucha gente que también quieren ayudar y no saben cómo. Y lo que primero que dicen es, tú deberías de comer más vegetales, porque I don't know. And I get it. Like, some people, they feel, oh God, I don't know what to say. So they say, they go into a quick fix. Pero I'm very clear. I tell people to be very clear with boundaries. Like, hey, I just need someone to listen and to validate me right now. I don't need advice or anything like that. Like, don't worry about that. Are you available at whatever time, day, whatever? And so I do that. I'm very direct with my needs, with my communication, and have a strong circle of people that I can reach out to. There's also there's this idea in this country specifically. It's about individualism. Like they think you have to do everything by yourself because that's what makes you a winner. That's what makes you stand out. I don't believe in that. Yo no creo en eso. Por lo tanto, if I need help, let's say picking up my medication, I'm like, who can help me pick up the medication? Like, who can help me do laundry? Who can help me? Like literally, like very things that people think, oh well, those are basic. Washing dishes, qué sé yo qué. Those can be very stressful for anybody. First of all, like it can be very stressful, and knowing that you can have people to help you with it or support you with it, that's also a great form of care for me. Um, and then lastly, I will say in my series, the series that I'm doing on Facebook and YouTube is literally all about that, about forms of care. And I am inviting people to talk about the ways that they take care of themselves and their community. And so the last one that we did is called journal swapping.
It was really good.
It's journal swapping, and I'm like, I didn't even know about that, and I'm gonna try it. Which is literally you share a journal with somebody. Like literally, you just have one journal, and you write your whatever, your entry, your thoughts, and then you let the other person know that you wrote your thing, and then they might respond to your entry and they write it down, or they put pictures or whatever, or drawings or whatever, and that's a form of communication that is not
Beautiful.
necessarily verbal. And then there are other things that I do. So to remind myself that I am worthy of staying alive, so I do certain things. So, for instance, when people write me compliments, I save them. I save them, so when I feel, oh, you shouldn't be here because you are a burden to the world and all of that.
So you still feel it.
Oh, claro, sí, 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 sí.
Coño, mi gente, lo acaban de escuchar. Él no dijo coño,
Claro,
ella lo dije yo.
Claro. Yo todavía struggle with.
You have those moments.
Claro. Y I remind myself, it's like a reminder that, oh, no, wait a second. There are people who love you, who will miss you if you die. There's a lot of, it's just like little reminders like that, like pictures. Maybe you can make a memory box when you put pictures and the things that you like, music, and then that's what you look for when you're feeling like you shouldn't be here. You're like, let me remind myself why I have been trying to stay alive. Let me look at this box. So it's just those little reminders, things
They're
that
huge.
tell you that you're human.
They're huge.
And then I will say lastly, to slow down when I need, I'm like, okay, breathe, slow down. What can you take out of your to-do list? Yeah, porque is this thing on my to-do list worth my life? Like my entire life is in the physical form? I doubt it. Well, vamos a ver. Is it canceling an appointment or something? I don't know. Something to feel less pressure.
I've canceled this show because I've been so deep and down, and I've gotten so much criticism from it and saying, how could you be a role model? First of all, I never told anybody I was a role model. Okay.
Right.
Okay. And secondly, I've been loyal to what I believe in. And how can I give you the best of me cuando yo te agarra así? de la cortina del baño esperando que no se caiga. And so mi equipo es muy bueno. Yo tengo un equipo que totalmente lo entiende. Y si yo los llamo a ellos y le digo, tenemos que hacer algo diferente hoy.
Yeah.
They get it. They get it. That's Juanita loves cooking. So there you go, people. We've had her for more time than I asked her for. People are already asking, ¿ella puede volver? ¿Puede tratar de hacer un adiestramiento con nosotros? Sí, definitivamente. Si así ustedes lo quieren, nosotros podemos hacer los arreglos con ella. Si ella no los permite, obviamente. Y hacer unos arreglos, pues, de ver de qué forma lo podemos hacer. Me encanta la conversación de comunidad. Me encanta todo lo que está. So you have $50 on the table. Tell me what Ysabel told me. You can inbox me privately. And then you get, then you get the emails and then you get all that kind of stuff that we will share with you. This will also be on YouTube, so you can watch it later if you have a loved one. If you yourself are feeling that you are now worthy to put your feet on the ground, I have to tell you that everything Ysabel has told you and everything that I have told you is because we want you to feel worthy. I don't want to speak for you, Ysabel, but I can't think another reason why we do it, right? It's because we want those psych units to become community places. We don't want them to become the lockup units anymore. Every time I used to hear those doors, I'm holding you for a little bit. Is that okay, Ysabel? Because I'm waiting for 2 answers. Every time I heard the doors close, the hours in which my family could visit me, the groups, the forced groups that you have to go to. So when I want to touch on the Ysabel line, right? So what she did was she's so smart that she learned, mira, si yo le digo estas 3 cosas a esta gente, van a abrir esa puerta y me dejan salir. Number 1, I don't have suicidal thoughts anymore. This is why people come out of places and they come out worse sometimes. I don't have suicidal thoughts anymore because what am I doing here all day? I remember being in a psych unit, and I say this in trainings, and one of the most renowned ones. And I'm not a cereal person, but I was hungry. And hunger was a good sign. Was a good sign. Here I am in my 40s, whatever. And I say to this group of nurses that are there, about 3 of them, they're swapping vacation pictures. And they have the cereal in their nursing station. It's not even, because God forbid, I don't know. I'm going to choke myself with the cereal. I don't know what I would do. But anyway, so I have to ask them for the cereal. So for the first time, I feel childlike almost. They say, excuse me. And they're like, you got to wait a minute. Excuse me. But the advocate in me that day for 30 seconds was present. And I said, can you stop watching your stupid vacation videos and give me the freaking cereal? Do you know what was put in my file? Agitated last night. That's what was put in my file. That I was agitated. I was hungry.
Exacto.
So the situations that we are put into sometimes are horrible. I've been in 4 points. I still don't understand 4 points. I've been in the 4 points. Para aquellos que no lo entienden todavía en este estado, tú puedes literalmente poner a alguien, darle una inyección y separarle las manos y los pies porque esa persona supuestamente está violenta.
Literal, ya.
Literalmente. Okay, literalmente. Yo he estado ahí. Y mi familia completamente compleja con esa cara de my daughter, my wife, are you kidding me? Porque tenía un dolor de cabeza que no lo aguantaba. I mean, I'm talking about, that headache when you swear somebody's handling it. And I couldn't get rid of it. And so I was asking for something for the headache. And guess what happened to me? 4 points. So
Yeah.
Hay muchas cosas, muchas cosas. Me dicen lo siguiente, si alguna vez necesitas saber, estoy leyendo desde acá, si alguna vez necesitas y saber por qué eres importante, te quiero decir que Papá Dios te ha puesto en mi camino en la noche de hoy. En la noche de hoy me siento que hay otra mujer al igual que yo, pendiente a sus cosas diariamente, pero luchando por los demás. Que Dios te bendiga, que Dios te acompañe, que el sagrado te cubra siempre. Y yo sí soy santera, mamita.
Me encanta.
I love it. Y yo sí soy santera, mamita, te dice.
I love that.
Please love to see and hear more about her journal swapping. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So, Wanda, ¿verdad? Wanda. So there's a video on my Facebook and YouTube about journal swapping. I invited a friend of mine and she explained how it works and how it saved her marriage, like a whole thing. Like it's a really, really nice tool that I didn't know about until my friend told me about it. So follow me on social media.
I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Sí, vea mis redes. Estoy aquí, LLC, literalmente, estoy aquí, LLC. Y ahí encontrarás más información sobre eso.
John says, thank you, sister, for preaching for those of us who belong to the Rainbow City. I will never forget your words. We are isolated. We are alone. But it's people like you who don't shut us down, who don't forget about us, who don't delight undiscriminate. How beautiful is that? Do not delight on oppressing us that make a difference. May the light be with you. Señoras y señores, aquí las personas no pueden decidirse en qué ha sido lo mejor que ha dicho nuestra invitada. Yo lo que pienso es que lo mejor que podemos hacer en este momento, Ysabel, ¿verdad? Como este es el único lugarcito que yo tengo potestad y todo ese tipo de cosas, donde mando yo solita. ¿Por qué no le donamos? Estoy de acuerdo. ¿Por qué no le donamos los $50 a la agencia de Ysabel? Sabemos que no es mucho, pero es la ganancia de hoy. Es dos recomendaciones de dos personas. Y yo estoy de acuerdo con ustedes. Ysabel, gracias por estar con nosotros. ¿Tienes una pregunta para nosotros?
Una pregunta para ustedes. Me gustaría saber ¿qué más temas estarían interesados en tocar? Porque podemos hablar de esto por forever, pero hay tantas cosas específicas que de lo que se pueden hablar, pero me dejan saber si hay un tema en específico que quieran tocar. No sé, son muchas cosas.
So to answer your question, Ysabel is inviting you to choose a topic or tell her about a topic, because we can talk about suicide forever and the systematic issues that we have and how we all take care of each other. For those of us who are on this earth, there's many of us that ended up in a coma like I did that we didn't know if, I was in or I'm out. I'm grateful, but at the time that I woke up, I was really angry. So the stigma that, you're getting answers already. Stigma. People want to talk about the stigma. So I will definitely send that donation to you, Ysabel. Thank you so much, because I know you don't know me, for taking your time and being in our space. Bienvenida a nuestra comunidad. Queremos hacer muchas más cosas. Déjanos saber qué estás haciendo para nosotros también, pues enfocarnos en ellos y ayudar en cualquier forma que podamos ayudar. Recuerden todo lo que le digo todo el tiempo. Love is a verb. Therefore, you must love yourself every second, every minute, whatever you can do to love yourself. Even if that means taking a shower.
Yep.
Even if that means you got out of bed for 10 minutes and walked over to the living room. No importa cuán pequeño pueda ser el avance para otro, usted ha ganado. Ya ganaste, ya ganaste. Grita, Si no te escuchan, grita, patalea, haz lo que tengas que hacer para buscar la ayuda que tú necesites. Puedes llamar a Ysabel, nos puedes llamar a nosotros y podemos guiarte a donde nosotros pues conocemos. Nadie tiene la garantía de nada. Y le deseamos a todos ustedes una linda noche. No se olviden de Estoy aquí. Así mismito, en todas las plataformas y tiene, de verdad que tengo que decir que tienes un website a envidiar.
Thank you.
A envidiar. A envidiar, 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 envidiar. Tienes un website para envidiar. Yo los quiero mucho a ustedes, Ysabel, de nuevo, gracias. Que Dios te bendiga en mi creencia, que Dios te bendiga, que los agentes te cubran, que, I don't know, que Chango ande contigo, yo no sé, que el agua viva, no sé, todas esas cosas que dice por ahí la gente, pero que siempre, siempre te cuiden y te den mucha salud para que puedas estar con nosotros, porque tú eres mucho más joven que yo, me siento mejor que tú te vas a encargar del día que Diosito me cierre los ojitos. Dios quiera que hay un sitio de esos bonitos donde uno sentarse en un arbolito y todas esas cosas, porque yo a trabajar no voy. que no me esperen, I'm sorry. Que no me esperen a trabajar, que no va a lavar platos ni va a hacer nada de eso.
No.
Buenas noches, mi gente. Los veo en Instagram para darle un resumen y dejarles saber lo que ha pasado. Los quiero mucho. Ysabel, de acá te mandamos un beso con el corazón abierto. Buenas noches a todos.